Hey everyone, RogueGold here, welcome back to the Division 2, and today we are trying out a new video format and series that I'm dubbing Community Builds. The concept is very simple, it is one that I've seen others do in similar looter-shooter games. Here's how it works, you all give me interesting and unique build ideas within the Division 2, I then construct those builds, test them out in a video like this, and see if they're any good. So we're going to give this a go today. Any feedback you may have on whether you like this format or you want to see more videos like this in the future is welcome. That said, when you do head down to the comments, do keep in mind that this is not a traditional build video, right? When it's one of my builds, feel free to criticize it and shred it down until there's nothing left, but these builds were made by the community, they were not made with the goal of being presented in the first place, so this is just meant to be a fun little idea, nothing too serious. Alright, so for this trial run of the Community Build series, I asked channel members within the VIP lounge of our community Discord server for submissions, and I was presented with many great builds. Ultimately, I went with something that felt a bit more fitting for a first try of this format and type of video, and that is the Ultimate Division Agent Fantasy Loadout. We are going to be taking a look at the WAR-L0CK build. Now, the credit and shout out for this build goes to channel and community member Hermes. If you end up liking the build, then be sure to send him some love down in the comments. Now, before we get into the piece breakdown of this, I think it is important to go over what this build really is. I made sure to request that anybody submitting builds for this video not only included the build itself within their message, but also a description of its core philosophy and its intended usage for content within the game. In Hermes' words, he said to me, "This is what a Division agent is, someone who is lethal not just in their shade tech, but weaponry as well." I think this build does a phenomenal job in letting both shine without sacrificing much in either direction. And as far as where in the game this build will shine the most, he said it is utilized best in PvE heroic content. Now, this submission did come with some options for variation and customization, and as we go over the pieces, I will point out where you can tweak this build if you really want to perfect it to your playstyle. Alright, so after constructing and running the WAR-L0CK in gameplay for a bit of time, my first impressions were I was surprised with how equipped this really was to breeze through heroic content. I think these days many of us are conditioned to think damage, 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 striker, striker, striker as a first solution to just about any problem or content within the game, but this is not that, and it's doing great. My weapons or skills have no expertise levels on them, this is just the raw build's power itself. And so long as you are not overextending or being hyper aggressive in your gameplay or playstyle, you can really take a more balanced approach to any kind of heroic content and easily clear out these enemies. And to me, there is something definitely nostalgic about chucking out seeker mines and mowing down enemies with an AR. It really does kind of empower that Division agent fantasy within me. Alright, so this is the build. Again, it is a balanced hybrid between weapons and skills. That said, and like I mentioned earlier, you can then make the build lean a bit more towards skill damage or weapon damage depending on how you want to do it. This version specifically, I went for a bit more of a weapon focus, but like I said, we'll talk about both as we go through. So to begin with my primary, I have the Lexington with the in-sync weapon talent. This focuses on buffing up both weapon damage and skill damage, so it is perfect for this kind of a loadout. On here I have 3 crit chance mods, and that is leading to a total of 55% crit chance and 70% crit damage when you add up everything from the build. Now, a popular alternative to using the Lexington here is going to be the Capacitor Exotic AR. Obviously that weapon has proven itself for how good it is in skill focused builds. Hermes mentioned that he had been testing out the Lexington with InSync recently as a possible alternative. I tried both, I think the Lexington just feels a little bit better, but the choice is truly yours. For your secondary, it can largely be any weapon you like. The important part is that it has the future perfect talent on there. I chose to put that on a 6.12 shotgun. Hermes mentions that using a high-powered shotgun or marksman is a good option here to be able to get those quick kills and proc the talent. And then for your pistol, things are totally optional. I chose to go with something that had sledgehammer on it in case I wanted to proc that buff. Alright, now for the gear, however you have it laid out or wherever your rolls are, we are aiming to get 6 skill tiers. That includes 4 rolled on the gear itself, 1 from a brand bonus and 1 from the technician specialization. Once you hit that 6 mark, you can then put weapon damage everywhere else. For the regular attributes, we're then aiming to get skill damage or haste and crit chance or damage on pretty much every piece. Again, that letting us buff up both our skills and our weapons. So to begin, I wanted to start with the backpack where we have the Ninja Bike Exotic. This one's always important to point out because this gives us a +1 to every other brand that we're going to take a look at, so keep in mind that this is in play. I have a crit chance mod on here. For my mask, I then have the first of 2 pieces of Empress International. This comes with a skill tier, skill damage, crit hit chance, and a crit hit chance mod. Empress is a fantastic brand for skill build, so it makes a lot of sense to have it on here. For the chest piece, I then have the door Kicker's Knock, which comes with the perfected version of the Spark talent. Again, focusing on that synergy between skill damage and weapon damage. On here I've got weapon damage, crit hit damage, skill damage, and a crit hit chance mod. Now this option specifically is if you want to make the build a bit more weapon inclined. An alternative that Hermes offered was to use the Caesar's Guard named item. That comes with perfected skilled if you want a bit more of a skill focus. And if you do choose to use that, just make sure that you swap out one of your other pieces of Empress for Hannah U. That way you're not wasting any stats with the ninja bike. We then have the Picaro's holster. This is another fantastic item to get some extra skill tiers. On here I have a skill tier, skill damage, and weapon damage. Moving over to the gloves, we have one piece of Fenris. This is just to give us a bit more of a weapon focus. On here rolled I have weapon damage, crit hit chance, and skill damage. And lastly, for the knee pads, we have our second piece of Empress International. Again, we get the 3-piece because of ninja bike. On this one I've got a skill tier, skill damage, and skill haste. Alright everybody, well there you have it. That is the breakdown for the WAR-L0CK community build. I think this thing lives up to being a hybrid in every sense of the word. The balance of it is great, and furthermore, I really do feel like I'm the ultimate division agent while I'm rocking this loadout. So if you're in need of a good, relaxed solo build for heroic content, I do highly recommend this. Hermes gets my stamp of approval for the WAR-L0CK. Congratulations. A personal thank you for being willing to submit it and show it off to the world here. That said, I now turn this over to all of you watching. Any thoughts you may have on this entire video? I would love to hear them. Again, like I said at the start, I don't think anybody needs to be too critical of the actual build here. Certainly if you have ideas for different elements of it that you might change, that could be great to hear, but we're not really here to poke holes in anything. Moreover, if you have feedback on the overall format and concept of this community build type of video, I would love to hear that. And ultimately, let me know if you want to see more of them. Whether you do, or you just want to stay tuned on everything coming up for the Division 2, then I hope you will consider clicking that subscribe button if you've not already. We'd love to have you as part of the community. I'm going to play you some more raw footage of the WAR-L0CK in action, but that is all from me, folks. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. RogueGold. Out.
Serious trauma detected. Incoming hostiles detected. detected. New location guarded by hostiles.
Boom! One by one, the division falls!